What's up, Joe? Welcome back. Welcome back to another F1 video on this lovely Friday. Now, listen, I guess it's Flashback F1 Friday, F1 Flashback Friday, or F1 Friday Flashbacks, Flashback Friday F1, Triple F. Triple F sounds good. I think we can say that, Triple F. Flashback Formula 1 Fridays. Yeah, that makes sense. But we are here today. We are going to check out the 2014 Ferrari Mess Explained. Shout out to his perspective. All credit goes to him. Big time. Big up to him. But, quick note. Now, I put it in like a post yesterday. I've introduced membership source channel, so you guys do want to become like a member. I'm still figuring out like how to properly, make it worth it. Figure out like different ways, like how I'm gonna use it, the benefits of it. I've added some badges and also if you guys do enjoy that. But just if you guys do want to join, feel free. We have 2 levels. We have little bros. So for all my little bros, and then we got big bros. So yeah. Anyway, without further ado, boys and girls, appreciate you guys as always for watching, checking out the video, and without further ado, let's get it.
Aerodynamics are for people who can't build engines. This was one of the great Enzo Ferrari's most famous quotes. We know how serious Enzo Ferrari was when it came to building cars, whether it be for racing or for the road. One thing was for sure in both cases, and that was the fact that Enzo Ferrari demanded perfection. The Ferrari F14T was far from perfect. It was a flawed piece of engineering that was a product of an unstable team and a cultural problem which affected Ferrari's ability to attract new minds to Maranello. Ferrari, as we know, are legendary. Some of the drivers this team has seen throughout its history really speak for themselves, and with Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen behind the wheel for 2014, there was of course reason.
That's a hell of a lineup. That is a hell of a lineup. Fernando and Kimi. I will say, Fernando has raced for a lot of big teams. Obviously, McLaren, Ferrari, the team he won a championship with. Was that Benetton? I think. If I'm correct, I think. And Alpine. Ugh. Aston Martin. Ugh. One Carlos last 2 teams, big teams.
But 2014 was a new era. It was a unique time for Formula 1 and we saw huge regulation changes. More specifically to the power units. 1.6 litre turbocharged V6 engines would prove to be a massive direction change for the sport, and in some ways, we were entering the unknown. As a lifelong Formula 1 fan, I was used to one thing: the noise. In 2014, we got this. Project 665 was the internal name given to the Ferrari F14T. The 2014 cars featured interesting nose cone designs, some more confronting than others. This was due to a rule change in the regulations that forced teams to lower the height of their noses. Ferrari opted for a flatter looking design which was likened to that of a vacuum cleaner. Though I still think Ferrari's take on the design was one of the better ones, it still isn't great by any means. The Ferrari F14T also had some notable designers in charge of development, such as James Allison, Pat Fry, and Nicholas Tombassis. Experienced and talented veterans for sure, but the car just wasn't off to a great start, and this was evident during pre-season testing. The F14T is famously known as the Formula 1 car that understeers and oversteers at the same time. During pre-season testing, Mercedes were looking very strong, as well as Williams, who seemed comfortable so far. Ferrari meanwhile had some problems, which needed to be ironed out if they wanted any chance at the championship that year. The power unit Ferrari had developed was lacking, and this was due to a number of reasons. Ferrari's turbo was actually smaller than their rivals, and there was an issue as to where the engine was situated in the car. Ferrari missed the mark with their hybrid system, and it proved to be weak and caused setbacks with traction and harvesting.
Hold on. Does engine placement mean that much in F1? Now, we've been doing F1 for about 3, I think going on 4 years. I think this is our 3rd full year of doing it. Engine placement, is that like specific, if your engine's not in the right spot, in regards to like a car can like mess it up. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Effectively meaning that the car was down on power compared to the others. Ferrari's aero package was quite aggressive, and it actually wasn't too bad. During testing, Ferrari tested the car beyond the maximum fuel flow limits, and they were just 0.03 of a second behind Mercedes. But with the fuel flow limits, Ferrari were over a second off Mercedes. It's also a well-known fact that the F14T was quite a heavy car. Still, with Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen in the car, two skilled veterans with 3 world championships between them, optimism remained. But the results, they just speak for themselves. From the get-go in Melbourne, it was obvious that Ferrari fans were in for a long season, but I don't want to go through every race result. There was more happening in the background of this season that caused Ferrari more setbacks.
Where is that at?
And a huge sense of
pretty
instability.
nice scenery.
While the two Mercedes drivers, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, had their famous duel in the desert in Bahrain, Ferrari finished 9th and 10th, while Mercedes ran riot with their highly developed power unit and chassis, which was already the clear benchmark for the season. Off track, Ferrari were facing internal change. On the 14th of April, Stefano Domenicali resigned as team principal. It was a difficult decision for him, but he took responsibility for some of the issues the team were currently facing. Stefano hoped that his resignation would shake things up at Ferrari for the better. The team lacked that excitement factor. The feeling that Ferrari always stood a chance was quickly fading, and something needed to be done. Fans were excited when rumours of a Ross Brawn return circulated. A brilliant mind like Ross Brawn, who many consider to be the greatest Formula 1 team boss of all time, was exactly what Ferrari needed to inject life back into Maranello. These rumours were that. Rumours. And so Ferrari appointed Marco Mattiacci as team principal. This was to the surprise of everyone. Many thought that this was a strange appointment and that Marco wasn't exactly experienced enough for the role during what was a tough time for Ferrari. Fernando Alonso did manage a podium at the next race in China, but to my disappointment, this wasn't a sign of things to come for Ferrari. 7 rounds later at the Hungarian Grand Prix, Fernando Alonso would almost win the race, but Daniel Ricciardo was simply too fast and too good on the day. Nevertheless, it was P2 for Alonso in what would be Ferrari's best result all season. Fernando was frustrated at Ferrari in 2014. Fernando had the burning desire to win and fight for a world championship. Fernando made his feelings clear. He was critical of Marco, saying that he had not made any changes, nor did he expect him to anytime soon. Alonso blamed Marco's lack of experience in Formula 1, saying that he was still learning the situation at Ferrari and how race weekends worked. Fernando, as we know, is very vocal.
I mean, he did just get there, right? You know, he did just get there that season. So you gotta give him a bit of slack. You gotta give him a bit of slack. The one time I will defend Ferrari, you gotta give Buddy a bit of slack. But it does seem like Ferrari always going through something in the backgrounds. Always something with Ferrari. It's never just clean, simple, fun, exciting, easy. There's always something going on. Either internal, external, troubling, worrying. Jeez, man, like, at some point,
and makes his feelings known.
At some point.
And yes, sometimes it does work against him, with Fernando's frustrations mounting and his desire to win not being met with reality. It had potential to become ugly. Either way, it was odd to see Marco in such a position within Ferrari during what was a difficult year. Ferrari desperately needed to stabilise in order to somewhat recover their season, but hired a guy that lacked experience in the Formula 1 world. Looking back, it was a recipe for disaster. Ferrari was, at the time, interested in the services of Adrian Newey, legendary Formula 1 designer responsible for some of the biggest monsters to have ever been built in the sport. Newey to Ferrari would have been massive for a number of reasons.
Legendary.
But the bottom line is that Ferrari would have secured a design king who could have solved many of their problems that the 2014 regulations caused for them. Now sure, the aero package and chassis wasn't as big a problem as the power unit, but a lot was still left to be improved on, and Newey could have been the solution. The main man behind trying to get Adrian Newey to Maranello was of course Luca di Montezemolo. The offer Ferrari had
That's a
prepared
name.
for Adrian Newey was unbelievable.
That's a name.
Adrian Newey remembers going to Luca's farmhouse in Tuscany at one point, saying that Ferrari was prepared to give Adrian the entire operation. This included road cars as well as racing.
Ooh.
He compared the offer Ferrari tabled to be film star-like, and over double what Red Bull were paying him. The offer was just massive, and Adrian admits to sleepless nights thinking about it. He was in a tough position. Renault, who powered Red Bull at the time, were far off Mercedes and were not quick to improve on it. In fact, Newey claimed Renault didn't seem interested in investing more money into it and solving the issues. Eventually, Adrian Newey turned down the offer from Ferrari. After all, Red Bull was his home and he had been there from the start, turning the mess Jaguar left behind into a Formula One powerhouse. On the 11th of September 2014, Luca di Montezemolo resigned from Ferrari and was replaced by Sergio Marchionne. On the 4th of October...
So bro, quit. So, Montezemolo presented Adrian Newey for opportunity of a lifetime to change Ferrari, to be a part of Ferrari lore of getting Ferrari back on track for that season and in the future. But from Adrian's viewpoint, the loyalty though. Again, chat, I can't be mad at it. I can't. I cannot be mad at it. Because Adrian's just a loyal guy. You know, loyalty. You can't be mad about that, chat. So, like...
2014, Red Bull announced that Sebastian Vettel would leave the team at the end of the season. This followed a difficult year where Seb struggled to come to terms with his car and was massively outshined by the newly promoted Daniel Ricciardo. Red Bull didn't really hide anything and basically told everyone, straight away, that Sebastian Vettel would be going to Ferrari. Though this wasn't officially confirmed, it was a very likely option. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso was in the middle of contract negotiations with Ferrari, but he eventually decided that it was time for a change. Fernando said that it was the best thing for him and for the team if they went their separate ways. This was announced in November, but it was one of Formula One's worst kept secrets. It really was just a matter of time. Ferrari signed Vettel on a 3-year deal, partnering Kimi Raikkonen. Despite Vettel's disappointing 2014 season, Ferrari secured one of the best drivers in the world who had just won 4 straight titles. Fernando Alonso was rumoured to join McLaren, which he eventually did, a relationship that never managed to reach the heights of glory like everyone wanted. Ferrari is a team of politics, but they are a team of history, elegance, and massive success. In my opinion, Fernando Alonso is the most exciting driver Ferrari have had since Michael Schumacher retired. What Fernando brought was talent, a winning mentality, and speed. He is an exciting driver with a resume to back it up. Alonso demanded success, and even though he came close during his time at Ferrari, 2014 was just messy. Even though that car just wasn't good at all, I still think Fernando dragged every single inch of performance out of it that he could. Fernando did fall out with Ferrari in a way, but the problems were between him and Marco Mattiacci, with Marco even sneak dissing Fernando, saying Sebastian Vettel would bring the utmost motivation and commitment next season when he replaces Fernando. Fernando responded by saying that Marco wasn't around long enough and he arrived too late at Ferrari. He once again reminded everyone that he decided himself to leave and that he wasn't replaced by the team. Just a couple days later, Marco was replaced by Maurizio Arrivabene. The problem with 2014 was instability. Ferrari tried to fix instability by adding more instability, fighting fire with fire in a way. It's not the worst Formula One season Ferrari have ever had. They managed 4th in the constructors' standings with 216 points. It was an exhausting season for Ferrari, a political season for Ferrari, a poor power unit with a mess behind the scenes and no clear team leader. Luckily, Ferrari would bounce back in 2014 and perform much better, leaving the 2014 mess behind. Fernando Alonso would struggle at McLaren and would drive some of the worst cars in his career while at the team. 2014 is a frustrating year to think about. It was a new era, but a difficult one to accept as a Ferrari fan. It was the end of Alonso at Ferrari, a relationship that unfortunately never delivered a world championship. It really was just a year to forget.
Ferrari. So it seemed like the whole season with Ferrari, it was just constant just turmoil with them. You know, constantly changing, the hierarchy, the managers, whatever. Then, at the end, Fernando's calling the manager out at the time. After he called Fernando out, after the manager called out Fernando. My thing is, where the hell was Kimi in all of this? I mean, 55 points, bro. I think P said Alonso had 161 out of 216, something like that. So then Fernando carried the team. I think Kimi finished with P12 that season in the driver standings. So was he capped for the following year? You know what? It's just typical Ferrari, man. It's just typical Ferrari. Just, you guys don't know. Comments down below, chat. Always, hope you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget to like the video, sub as well as shout out to Perspective as always. See you guys soon. Peace.